Ellam's Underground.
This is Ellen's Underground. It's Lil Sonata. And we got Stony P, Zay, and Flowman. So today we got some hot topics we got to talk about. So here's the first hot topic. Recording at home versus going to a studio. Stony P.
I would say it's really a preference, depending on what you like. Because you could record at home and have the most stuff and still make a good sounding song. You go to the studio and have all the equipment and still don't make a good song. So it really depends on your preference, what you prefer.
Very nice. Zay.
I think also I think there's definitely a difference. I feel like the main thing about going to a studio is the chemistry you have with your producer. Because I've been to a lot of different places where like anytime you're working with another artist, it's really hard for like the creative vision to not get them up. Like because like I go in and like I know exactly how I want this to sound, but like I also want to work with someone that like hey will work with me and be like, you could like add this and this and this, so like it can help bounce ideas. But I think like once you learn how to like work alone at your house, you're able to really create something that's completely personalized to just you without able to have like outside interference. But I prefer going to studios, but only studios that like I can like I fuck with, like that make that have a like I don't know. I feel like the best way is if I'm able to go and work, and then like you tell after I record, you tell me what to do after that. I don't know. It's like I was saying earlier. I don't really. I go to the barber. I don't really know what I want. And I just ask the barber to make me look good. I go to the production since I don't have like when I'm paying for production, I'm not paying for that hour. I'm paying for the years of experience into it. So I'm also going to learn something as well. So it's like I prefer the going to studios.
I'm an artist and producer. If I'm just cutting vocals, I'm always going to prefer home because I can do that pretty much anywhere, hotel room, even in your car. Now, if I'm cutting live instruments, I would prefer to go to the bigger studio because they have more of the equipment in the rooms you need to do that, especially if you're tracking live drums and stuff. And furthermore, if I'm working with people from out of town or something, and I only have one day to do it, and I want to get some content footage or something, I want to go to the bigger studio because that venue is set up for that. It's a built-in collaborative space. So that's really how I look at it.
Okay, nice. So, just to go over one more time, you said pro home. Say it again.
More of a preference.
Preference, so either or.
Yeah.
You said
Studio.
studio.
And if I'm cutting vocals at home, but if I'm doing more than that, or I'm collabing with someone that I want to capture some content, I'm going to the studio.
Okay. So,
Now I will say I do love the studio. Like for me and my engineer, like it was like the relationship you have with an engineer, it's gotta be there. Like me and my engineer, Philip Beats, he recorded for Eric Banks and Kevin Gates. I've been recording for like 5 years now, and the chemistry is probably one of the best chemistry like all the engineers I've produced.
okay, nice. So, would you say, Zay, would you try home studio?
So like that's the funny thing. So like I was in the process of building up my home studio. I got my Scarlett. I got my microphone. I needed to get my laptop fixed. So like I have never been able to get to the point where it's recorded at my house. And I also just kind of like I was like don't have a stable spot to like kind of like create. But I also I really enjoy because like you said, like once you have like the equipment, you can just pop up anywhere. You can do it in your car and stuff like that. So I'm definitely open to it. I'm actually like in the process of learning more about how to get to that level because I really feel like as an artist, being able to become like self-sufficient in that way, because working with other people can be a hassle. Working on other people's schedules and like it's just I feel like that's the smartest way to get to. But like I feel like there's nothing wrong with like going to studios if that's what you have.
I think it's mandatory for artists in 2026. It's really been mandatory since
Yeah, but
for the last decade for you to have your own setup if you're an artist. Like you may not cut the final version there, But to me, I think you just do a malpractice to yourself if you don't have the ability to roll out of bed and just put something down, because I think creativity can hit you at any moment, and you just need the ability to go over there and cut that vocal. Now, you might cut it later with your chosen producer or engineer, but I think there's nothing that can replace the ability to cut vocals. If you wake up at 3 in the morning, you got insomnia, and you got an idea, and you just lay it down.
Yeah.
Like for me, for example, like I record like I use BandLab for my work drives, and I record like 100 to 200 songs, and this all before I go to the studio. So yeah, so like I can track back to like 2019 when I first started using BandLab. So that time span, I done recorded like hella work drives, but only like one has came out. So in that time span, I dropped like a lot of songs. But all those bus drives that came from like before I went to the studio. So you like, I feel like when I go to the studio, I don't have time to waste. You know, I do all my songs within like, I usually do a song in like 15 or 30 minutes. Just because I already have it like down, like I already rehearsed, I got like the main vocals, all that shit already laid out. So before I go to the studio, I already know it's gonna sound fire. So I go there, lay the shit out, and it comes out the way it's supposed to sound.
And going back, like one of my promoters said, like, you know, as an artist, you know, like having a microphone is kind of like it's like a trade, you know, like you can't be a plumber or you can't be like an electrician without your tools, you know, and so that's like cool thing. I feel like where I've gotten so much, like I've worked so much in the last 3 years on like getting a bunch of content, so I have a bunch of songs already done, but I'm also like now in the process of like gaining and learning how to operate as like an own unit and not having to rely on everyone else to be able to just like do that in the morning. You know, like I got an idea, but now I have to go like figure out how I'm gonna how to record it. By the time you get there, you might not have the same energy. You know.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Question number 2. Thoughts on paying for promotion?
I never paid for promotion until my music. I feel like organically, if people like it or like they gravitate towards it, then people will like it. And it all depends on like what you promoting, how you go about it, like as far as your marketing plan and all that.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of different avenues, but like paying for promotion, like paying for like a feature with an artist could be technically like kind of like buying like a promotion. You know, I think that I don't know, it depends. There's a lot of like places like, oh yeah, pay for promotion, then you get a bunch of like bot accounts. You know, so I feel like I have like a promoter. You know, I like all I know is he's been riding hard for me for a long time. I haven't paid him a dime, but I know that whenever I get to a certain point, I'm definitely going to give him a cut because he's been riding hard. You know, I feel like you got to take care of the people that take care of you. You know, so I feel like it just really depends. You don't want to be like, I feel like think about making music as a business. You don't want, if you're just like you're already putting money in for studio time, putting money for like beats and stuff like that. You know, you don't want to be putting like money where it's not necessary. I feel like for instance, I saw like was one label like they were trying to sign me, but I watched these guys spend like $5,000 to throw a rap show for the homies. You know, I was like, man, like we could have done so much more.
The way I look at it is, a lot of artists shouldn't pay for promotion because they have done the research. And when I say done the research, they don't know who their fans are. When you make that record, you're going to the studio, you're making a song. I don't know, maybe it's about smoking weed, maybe it's about your job sucks, maybe it's about your ex girl and how she did you wrong, whatever. Who is your audience? So you're paying for promotion, so you pay for meta ads on IG or TikTok or whatever, but who are you promoting to? And so a lot of people, they'll go pay some internet radio guy. It's like, okay, who is their audience? How many people are listening to? Or is their audience 65-year-old men? Well, does your music appeal to them? And so a lot of people, they pay for promotion, but they don't know who their audience is supposed to be. They don't even know who's supposed to like their music. It's like, yo, like, a lot of people, oh, I want mine to be organic. Well, okay, so who did you, first of all, when you're making this song, who did you envision that would like it? And then you kind of, the times I've paid for focus groups. So I've taken songs that I've gone to a marketing company through HubSpot or something like that, and they'll bring in focus groups and they'll like, okay, hey, your music polls well with guys who are 16 to 24 years old. So, oh, you know what I'm saying? Girls in this age group don't like you, so you're not a pop star. You're an underground artist. Something like that. So you got to pay, but you got to figure out what you're paying for. Otherwise, you're just throwing money into a fire pit.
I'm making no profit. But then the fan base is going to generate money into you. They're going to buy into you and what you're selling. And
yeah, so you have to figure out who that is.
yeah,
It's like, for school age kids, it's a lot easier because usually your fan base is going to be the people you go to school with. But a lot of us, we're in our 20s, 30s, sometimes even 40s. It's like, okay, who rocks this shit? Me, I make a lot more music that is tailored from like the early 90s with Shady Aftermath was popping off. And what I found out is a lot of people I went to school with, people who now have jobs, who have kids and stuff, they gravitate to that music and they go, my old lady was telling me, hey, you make cigar lounge rap. I'm like, wait, what? She look. But, the times I performed, it's like an intimate venue. People drinking cognac, top shelf liquors or whatever. And I come in and perform with a live band and they're like, oh, yeah, that's it. And they'll come buy my stuff. Those people have money, but that's not most people, especially rappers, rap is so focused on youth because that's what we grew up listening to. But, if you're a certain demographic artist, you look at Nas, Method Man, Redman, those guys are touring worldwide right now. And it's doing the stuff they were doing 20 years ago. Whereas new artists can't sell tickets because it turns out people in their demographic can't buy tickets. If they do buy a ticket, they buy a ticket to a festival where they can see 30 acts.
yeah, Rolling Loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rolling Loud be popping.
Because these guys can't do shows by themselves because they can't move hard tickets. And so it turns out that's why it's like, well, I don't understand why tour revenues are down. Like people, oh yeah, I'm doing the tour, and then the tour gets canceled. Dates keep getting canceled because no one's buying tickets because you want to charge $160 for nosebleed tickets. Well, that kid can't afford that because he works at Target making $13 an hour. He can't afford that ticket. So promotion is really marketing. You need to figure out who is your audience and how to sell to them. That's the whole purpose of it. And too many people, they get burned because they don't know who their audience is.
Very interesting. Here we go. Question number 3. This will be the last question. Question number 3. Being independent versus with a label.
I say independent all the way. That way you can keep really everything for yourself. If you're doing a tour, you're big enough to do a tour locally, like independently in itself, all that money go back to you. Merchandise go back to you. CD sales, vinyl, all that shit go back to you. And then it's just a better payoff in the long run.
Yeah, so I feel like I was definitely I'm still like independent artist. So I've been doing a lot more like research though, because I don't want to be like I don't want to turn down a good opportunity if a good opportunity arises. I feel like there's a lot of ways to get fucked over, especially as like a younger artist. But I feel like there's a lot of like independent artists that I look up to that like they're independent now, but they started with label, because with label you have access to a lot more resources to be able to get your music out faster, but it comes at the cost of having like all your royalties and stuff like that, you know, and sometimes like getting nothing at all, you know, and like a lot of times like the advance they give you is kind of like, you know, if you don't make them enough money, that ends up being like a loan situation, you know. So I feel like independence is the most strategically the smartest way, so you own everything. You can't be fucked over by anybody, you know. But if you are going to go the label route, I feel like definitely get a lawyer. Make sure they go through that contract. Don't sign a contract longer than 2 years, you know. And you want to be able to make sure you have creative freedom, because you don't want to like oh you got to make 20 tracks, but you have to make sure they're like for a certain certain type, or you're not even allowed to use any of your lyrics. They already have all the ghostwriters for you. You know, now you have to like, you know, I'm not about to do that. You know, but I feel like independent. But if you go label route, be very careful.
I think the question is a misnomer. The average person has no use for a label. The label has no use for them. And the reason I say that is, in this day and age, music is a loss leader. It's people view it as free. You pay $10, $11, $12 a month, and you get access to everyone's music. And now you have computer generated music, AI, Suno, Udio, whatever it is. So it's oh man, I never signed to a label. Label's never gonna talk to you. Because if a label's talking to you, they see that they're gonna make 10 times the amount of money that you would ever see. So it's oh yeah, they're offering me $1 million, so they think they can make 10. And if they think they can make 10, then you don't need to do that. I think the average person, you need to figure out basically a way to make predictable income as an independent artist. Stop worrying about streaming because it's not built for you. It's algorithmic. Stop worrying about, oh, I need to get on social media and I need to run up the numbers. Well, that's all bots. It's a program. They decide what you see. The labels have a huge stake in all the streaming companies. They have a huge stake in TikTok and Facebook and Meta and all that. They decide who you see. An artist like Russ is never going to be allowed to rise organically ever again, and because he was the last one that was coming out when he posted something, it was at the top of everyone's feed. Now it's algorithmic. Oh, well, I don't think he's going to like this, so I'm not going to show him that. I'm going to show him this. And so when you look at this label versus independent, you're on your own, because if the labels start calling, you honestly, that's a sign you're doing the right thing, but it's probably not beneficial. Even you look at someone like Lil Russell. Lil Russell is a millionaire before any label got involved. Only now, where he can fully dictate his terms, does he decide, okay, now I'm going to work with Rock Nation. And we're going to work on my terms. We're not going to work on your terms. So that's really the name of the game.
Script.
Very interesting. Thank you for coming out.
Anytime.
Bro, y'all want to shout yourselves out on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Stony P 214 ITSSTONYP 214.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, Zaywin, ZAY.WINN. I do believe I have a TikTok. I'm going to be posting more on there. But, look me up.
Find me the Flowman, THEFLOWMAN. Also, producer Run the Fade, RUNTHEFADE. That's how I can.
Ellen's Underground, Lil Sonata.
Ellen's Underground.